Welcome to Not Your Father's Film School. I'm your host, Tony Kapitsis. We are back, week 2, brainstorming. Now, typically for brainstorming, you're going to want to think of, in terms of movies and TV, what my genre is going to be. And through the World Gig app, where I set a spinner with all different genres, I've already pre-spun 3 times, and I'm going to pitch to you 3 movies. Let's start. Movie 1, comedy. That's right, comedy. The most easy to do, but most effective if done right. You're going to want to make sure your jokes land. You want to make sure you have a great cast of characters. You want to make sure the situation is hysterical. So, off the top of my head, this is all fresh right now, live. I'm just talking and figuring out what my movie's going to be, but Ryan Reynolds is a new father. His kid is just born. His girlfriend decides to pack up and move. He's got to take care of this kid. He calls his best friend, who's been a father for 4 years, and that best friend is going to be Danny DeVito. Well, not 4 years. He's been a father his whole life, and his kids are grown up. Danny DeVito, Ryan Reynolds, got to take care of this kid now. Hilarity is going to ensue. The situation is going to be, how do I not kill this kid? Because, hey, he's a baby. And so, I like my idea of Ryan Reynolds. Danny DeVito, probably not my best choice, but I'm committing to it, guys. And so we're going to start off with, the hospital room. The opening credits is going to be the birth. Ryan Reynolds looks happy. He cuts the cord. Go to 2 weeks later. The girlfriend leaves the house with a note on the door, and Ryan Reynolds wakes up, hears the baby crying, grabs the baby, looks around the house for his girlfriend. Note on the door says, "Going to Vegas, can't stand you." And so he tried to figure out what he's going to do. For the first couple of weeks, he's suffering. He doesn't know how to stop this baby from crying. He calls Danny DeVito, one of his coworker best friends, because nobody else would pick up his call. We'll have a bunch of cameos from other comedic actors, and they'll just be like, "No, I can't help you." So Danny DeVito's going to come by and be like, "I have years of parenting experience. Watch this." Tries to get the kid from stop crying. Can't get him to stop crying. Danny DeVito just looks at him and is like, "You got the devil right here." So it's just going to be one of those slapstick baby comedies. It's going to be geared towards family. The resolution's going to be that, Ryan Reynolds is going to meet a girl that wants to join in on this family, and he falls in love. That girl's probably going to be, I don't know, Jennifer Aniston, because who doesn't want to see Jennifer Aniston and Ryan Reynolds together? I know I do. But you see how simple that was to come up with a situation, characters, a resolution, just for one genre, just from spinning on an app to see what kind of genre I'm going to pull up. Brainstorming is all about taking what's up in your head that's in jumbles and putting it together into a coherent story. Might not be the best story, but this is just to get your brain, your brainstorming juices flowing. You may not actually make this into a movie, but hey, it's good just to get on paper, because you never know. You write it, Hollywood likes it because they're making a lot of okay and mediocre movies nowadays. But we're going to move on to movie number 2, horror. Now, I'm more of a fan of classic slashers that are human, not these demon movies like Paranormal Activity, The Babadook, and everything else. So my horror movie is going to be a slasher. It's going to take place present day. I'm even thinking right now, hey, let's have it with first person point of view, but we're not just going to have one camera. We're going to have several cameras, like selfies, video yearbook, all that. And, the killer's going to be this guy who couldn't go to prom because his senior prank got his best friends killed. So he just went crazy, and he keeps thinking he has to self-fulfill this prophecy of making sure his friends don't go to prom. It's a weird take, I know, but off the top of my head, I gotta commit to it. So we're gonna have, the classic 5 characters of horror. You're gonna have the jock, the nerd, who I don't know why they're friends, probably because of the girl that the jock's going out with, and her neighbor's the nerd. Bam, right there, you got the cheerleader. That's 4. Then you got the funny guy. The funny guy is typically the second to die, so, it's going to be one of those things of who is going to die first. Well, obviously, it's going to be the cheerleader because I'm sticking to classic pre-2010 slasher rules. It goes cheerleader, funny guy, the nerd, the jock, and then the leading girl may or may not die. If it's the first movie and she's a virgin, she lives. My movie, she is going to be a virgin. The jock keeps pressuring her into doing it. They're going to do their senior prank, and the killer goes after them. Now, he sees his girlfriend in the girl, so he doesn't want to kill her. He thinks it is his girlfriend, so he kills everybody else trying to get to her. You know, the location is going to be your average suburban town where, you know, it could be creepy at night, but really nice in the morning. The safe neighborhoods where crime should not be. It's going to take place in a school. There's going to be a senior prank. The movie's going to be called Senior Prank. Or maybe, you know, anything else, but committing to it, Senior Prank. Who would I cast as the killer? That's a toughie because in horror, you typically go for no names. But if I have to give you a name for a killer, this is really tough. Let's go with Anthony Hopkins. He's going to be a crazy hermit, and he's got pictures of his friends, and he's got pictures of these kids on his wall next to each friend. And then for the leading girl, let's go with Jennifer Lawrence is getting to it. Chloe Grace Montez. She didn't do a good job on Carrie, so let's give her another horror movie to actually try. We could have Tom Holland beat the nerd once he actually grows up. He's Spider-Man right now, so he's going to be doing some big things, and if he does it right, he'll be Spider-Man for years and years to come. The nerd, we could cast anybody. It's not the biggest role. It's the typical, guys, let's not do this. This is wrong. We shouldn't do this. The jock is going to be your alpha male. You know, he's probably going to be Tom Holland when he grows up, but Chloe Grace might be too old. I'll figure it out. The cheerleader could be anybody. The funny guy, he's got to be a funny young actor, and that's so tough nowadays because these kids coming out in these movies to be funny are not that funny. It's a lot of one-off humor where you watch that movie and, hey, I'm over it. And the resolution is going to be that the killer kills everybody but the girl, and he lets the girl live. And the prank is done, but the prank is surrounded by the other bodies. And he moves on to the next town, and he starts the process again of stalking 5 more kids that remind him of his friends. You know, it's going to be a terrible B-rated horror movie that's probably going to go direct to video, but hey, why not? Somebody's got to make these movies. And you see how horror, it's a simple genre to think about, but it's hard to pull off because lighting and music is going to be the number one key factor here. And so, you know, with brainstorming, you could help think about it. Because now, what if I want to get in depth with these characters? For all I know, if I write this script, it's not going to end up being Senior Prank. It could become a whole nother movie. Hooky started off as some weird road trip movie, and now Hooky is a tale of, you know, brotherly bonding. You never know what something is going to be when you start writing it because it changes. But we're going to talk about that on another episode about writing. But back to brainstorming, you know how many movies start off with one idea and they end up completely different because somebody was like, hey, I don't like this idea, or hey, what if we do this? So our next movie is going to be drama. You know, drama is very difficult because you have to tug on emotional heartstrings. You have to have a solid actor. You have to have a solid theme and premise. So just give me 1 second to think about it. Okay, I got it. The movie is going to be called, wait for it, I'm drawing a blank, fuck. The movie is going to be called I Hate This Town. It's going to be the story of a young kid who hates his family, has 2 friends. He's the laughing stock of school because, you know, he pissed his pants in front of everybody at the talent show. Anything, really, but committing to that. You know, he hates his town, and he keeps talking about how he's going to escape from his town and do bigger and better things. This kid's going to be really fucking smart. He's going to be, you know, he gets into a college that's astounding amazing, but he can't afford it. And no, this isn't going to be your classic, oh, you know, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. No, he realized he can't afford it. He says, okay, I'm going to downgrade and go to community college and try to get scholarships. And, he meets a girl that could be the love of his life, and that girl is actually a girl from high school. And she remembers him and decides to torment him and pick on him. And the kid gets so depressed, and he's got to figure out, how do I get out of this depression? And he ends up blowing his brains out. Yeah, sad movie, but it's going to make people think, because depression and suicide is not an easy subject. It's actually very tough, and it's a growing problem. Talking about this movie is actually a little tough right now, but hey, we got the ending. And for casting, probably the kid that was in, let me check IMDb for his name, but he was in Maze Runner. Let me find his name. Dylan O'Brien. I could see him doing this. And then you have, the secondary characters. The girl, who knows who the girl could be. It's got to be somebody beautiful but wicked. Casting is tough. That's its own separate department. And so, I pitched you 3 movies. Now I'm going to pitch you 3 shows. One of them, I'm going to purposely make it into a web show. Let's go right now with the spinner. Spoof. This is going to be a TV show. Okay, so we are going to spoof every single... Oh, crap. I don't want to go superhero because then we got a superhero movie. You know what? Spoof doesn't work for TV. We're spinning again. Can't commit to that one. Fantasy. Okay, we got a fantasy series, guys. This is going to be on Sci-Fi Network. And, I'm not going to cast it because sci-fi, we're typically going to go with unnamed actors because this goes straight for TV. But here we go. It's going to be fantasy, not sci-fi fantasy, so there is a difference. You have a prince of a kingdom. The kingdom, the king, he's well-renowned. He's loved by everybody. Even the country that he almost went to war with loves him. The king gets assassinated, and his own son is framed. He's got 2 sons. One, the one, his firstborn, and then the one that the queen died in childbirth. The second one, the younger one, we're gonna call him Arthur. No, not Arthur. It's too generic. Caleb. We're gonna call him Caleb. Caleb gets framed for the murder, and so he goes on the run. And his older brother, Artor, we're going to use one of my D&D characters. He becomes the king of Mizan, this kingdom. And so we find out, throughout the series that Artor did the murder, carried it out, actually killed his father just to get the kingdom. And Caleb has to find the 7 swords of mystics that could kill, demons and other creatures and other users of these swords, because when they use the swords, their soul goes into the sword, and that sword can never break unless by another one. So he's got to travel the planet looking for these swords. He'll meet some tribes that he'll unite. He'll fight the other kingdom, Frostmane, because they came to an alliance between Mizan and Frostmane. And this series could go on for 3-4 seasons, and I would like to see it. It's a tough sell right now because it's sci-fi, but we're gonna move on to the next show. Spoof again. God damn the spinner. Psychological thriller. I'm gonna make this the web series. The web series for the psychological thriller is gonna be 5-6 minute episodes. We're going to have a man who is locked in a basement, and he's not sure how he got there. There's clues all around him. He's got to figure it out. And, by the end of the series, we're going to find out that he locked himself in there to get publicity from the news. Yeah, something very different. 1 season of 6 episodes. I might just actually do this because it's a simple premise. It's one man. It's a room. 5-6 minute episodes. And now the last TV. Superheroes. Oh, big comic book guy right here. I had Greek Geeks Podcast, which is on hiatus right now. I had Nerd Alert, which fell apart due to the fact I couldn't keep up with the weekly content of news. But, here on Not Your Father's Film School, I'm going to pitch you the greatest superhero TV show. Now, this is not Marvel. This is not DC. I'm going Image Comics. I'm going Invincible. This is a story. The story started off as a spoof of Superman. Alien comes down to a planet, except he settles and has a kid. That kid now gets superpowers. We're going to make this not too serious, a little lighthearted, kind of like The Flash. And he meets, other superheroes of his age. They start a team. And then we're going to end season 1 with the fight between Omni-Man and Invincible. And who's going to play Invincible? Oh, man, the kid from Never Back Down. If I could find his name. Sean Ferris. I know what you're saying, Sean Ferris. Everyone's like, oh, I want him to be Nightwing. Not Nightwing. I want him to be Batman Beyond. Well, we're not going to get Batman Beyond anytime soon. And if I were to pitch a Batman Beyond movie, it would be amazing. But we're going with Invincible. Sean Ferris is Mark, a.k.a. Invincible. His father is going to be played by Liam Neeson to be Omni-Man. Yeah, I'm taking these big Hollywood movie stars and putting them in a TV series because, hey, the paycheck. And then, we're going to have somebody do the voice of Robot, somebody be Eve. Eve is probably going to be, I can't think of her name. I'm probably just going to grab the same chick from Never Back Down, Amber Heard. Yeah, a lot of you haven't heard of her, but she was in Zombieland, Drive Angry, Never Back Down. She's going to be in Aquaman, it's rumored, and Justice League Part 1. James over there, my producer of this podcast, also sponsored. We're pretty much sponsored by High Shelf Studios, and James is making some funny faces in the booth. But, continue with this Invincible pitch. She was also in Pineapple Express. She would be Eve. She just got to dye her hair red. Season 2, when we get the kid in, because Invincible gets a son, not a son, a brother who's half other alien. And Wyatt Smith, unless he's gotten too old. Let me see what it looks like. He still looks pretty young, so Wyatt Smith, you're going to be Kid Omni-Man. I think I'll enjoy it. But you see how simple it is to brainstorm. Just write everything down. I know many people who just, they think of a movie, they write it down. But I know other people that think of a movie, forget about it. They don't write it, they just forget about it, and it never comes up again. This filmmaking business is tough. If you want to be a writer, you got to brainstorm constantly. You got to think about what you want to see, what people should see. There should be a message in everything. Now, the movies I pitch won't have a message because, I pitch pretty much direct DVD movies on this episode. But it shows you could brainstorm under pressure of a microphone and still come out with something okay. And other than that, I'm going to have some amazing guests on this show. But, hey, we got to make sure we keep this show afloat. But I do want to say thank you to High Shelf Studios. They are going to be, making sure the sound comes out great on this thing. And, I'm going to pitch one movie for you more. This may be my worst episode, but I already did drama. Action. Ooh. Okay. Action movie. I'm going to star Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis is going to be the head of a CIA operative unit. They're not even funded. They're funded by the CIA, but the CIA doesn't even really know about them. They're going to be called the Black Mark Society. They carry out any big political hit, and they've had carried out every big political hit since the start of America. Well, since the founding of the CIA. Only one other person knows about this unit, and that's the president, who is going to be played by Sean Connery. And then Bruce Willis, in charge of this this little operation. They carry out a political hit on a terrorist leader, but the problem is their extraction gets pulled from them, so they are stuck in enemy territory. It's gonna have, I just said Bruce Willis is the head of the CIA, but the team's gonna consist of 4 people besides Bruce Willis. Person 1, we are gonna get what's his name? Liam Hemsworth. Now, I liked his acting in Expendables 2. He's going to be the head, not the head, but the leader of this little 4 people. He's going to use machine guns. He's going to be, this big action star. Number 2, The Rock. I like The Rock. He's a great actor. He is big and bulky. He's going to be the machine guy. He's going to be the machine gun guy and the technician. Number 3, we need a female because, let's face it, if you don't have a female, then your movie's just going to be a bunch of dudes in there complaining about where's the female. Who was that chick in Expendables 3? Oh, that's right, Ronda Rousey was in it. Yeah. You know what? I'm not the biggest fan of Ronda Rousey, but she wasn't bad in Expendables 3, so let's do it. Ronda Rousey, she's going to be our sniper. Maybe even Amy Jo Johnson. Oh, you know what? I'm changing it. This is one time not committing to a pick. Amy Jo Johnson. She is going to be our sniper. And the last person on the team, our navigator. He's, a little bit of, I just use pistols and I carry all the stuff. But he's an expert in hand-to-hand combat. There's always tough guys. You know what? I'm going to go with Jai Courtney. Yeah, we know Jai Courtney wasn't the best part of Good Day to Die Hard, but he's doing okay in Divergent. He plays Eric in Divergent. Simple character. I work for this one faction, and I'm going to make sure this faction is the military. That's his character. Yeah, Jai Courtney will be the guy that turns out to be amazing hand-to-hand, who will betray the team. He's the reason why they're stuck there. And, we're just going to have a bunch of terrorists shooting him up. They're going to be in Saudi Arabia. It's a way to go home. Bruce Willis tries to go there himself to save them. He ends up dying. So Liam Hemsworth becomes the new leader. Thank you guys for tuning in today. I know this wasn't exciting, but, you're learning something. You're learning how to, pitch and also how to brainstorm. This is something you need, because if you and a few other people are writers together, you got to communicate. You have to tell them what you want to see or what you think, and they could tell you maybe not this, but this. I'm sure some of you could think of better picks for my movies. If you can, tell me in the comments. Tell me my movies suck even, because this is all off the top of my head. If I had a day to prepare all these movies, I would pick a better cast. Oh, but the action movie I'd pitch, the action movie I just pitched with Bruce Willis, Jai Courtney, Liam Hemsworth, Amy Jo Johnson, and The Rock, I'm going to call it Traitor. Yeah, Traitor. If one of you is good at Photoshop, you want to make me a poster for it, I would really appreciate it. I'll give you all shout-outs and everything. But thank you for tuning in this week on to Not Your Father's Film School. You learned something today. In the upcoming weeks, we're going to have John Flynn, director, writer, producer of Rain. We're going to have, the Churro and El Churro Productions, Pat Madden himself. We're going to have Christian Saladino, star of Pancakes and Existential Bullshit. We're going to have, Charlie Maeda, co-creator of Street Dater. And coming soon, Mike Mitzis, Jerry Palubis, the stars of Hooky. They're going to give you an inside look of who they are, what's the character of them. They're funny guys. It's a hilarious episode. So be sure to check it out in the upcoming weeks. Thank you all, and remember, you learned something today.